Hey, Mark Menendez here with you, and I'm shivering because it's wintertime, and wintertime is one of my favorite times to fish. You need to be very cautious when you're out fishing in the wintertime. Always tell people where you're going to be fishing and don't leave that general vicinity. B, always fish with a buddy, and C, always have an extra set of clothes in the boat with you in case you go in the drink. 3 safety precautions there because I spend a lot of time winter fishing. I'm not a big hunter. My son loves to hunt, but I don't love to hunt. So I've spent my entire life this time of year fishing in the winter. And I've got 3 crankbait designs I want to show you that will help you in winter fishing. One of the first things that we're going to fish in the winter is some kind of point, bank, channel swing, riprap. It's all made out of rock. We're paying good attention to rock because rock holds heat. These fish are looking for a little bit more warmth. So now I need a crankbait that gets in that rock and does its job the best for you. The one of the crankbaits that I like the best is this little guy right here. This is a Strike King Series 3. And the reason I like it is the bill. Look at the shape of that bill. It mimics the shape of my thumb. See the rounded edge right here, a little bit of a kick on the bill on this corner, a little kick here. And what that does is when that crankbait is rooting around on the bottom, it deflects off those rocks well. That round-shaped bill versus a very narrow-shaped bill, like certain balsa baits that are made that way, that narrow-shaped bill will drive right into the cracks of those rocks. This round-shaped bill helps this bait deflect off the rocks because it's your job as an angler to get that crankbait on the bottom and make sure it makes that deflection. That's what we have to do anytime we have a plug in our hand. Make sure you're making that deflection, causing that fish to strike. But this Strike King Series 3 with this round bill is fantastic for riprap, for say softball size down to golf ball, and even on pea gravel. This little bait right here does its job well. The other thing about this bait is look at the bill. See how the bill comes straight out of the chin of the bait? It is straight. There's no angle to it. Any bait that's like this is a very tight wiggling bait. So this is my version for the tight wiggling when I need it with the rounded bill so that it doesn't get hung as much. Now this bait is one that you've seen me use many times. This is the old Strike King Series 4. Look how much difference there is in a profile. A much bigger bait, a much larger size bait. This bait, if you look at that bill, see how it comes straight at you and then comes down? You can see that a little bit better here. Comes down an angle, which creates a wider wobbling bait. Still has that rounded bill like your thumb, so it's going to deflect perfectly, but it's a bigger, wider wobbling bait. I tend to throw this bait in under 45-degree water most of the time. That big old wide wobble, I can get it down to 8 or 9 or 10 feet deep, and that old wide wobble moves a lot of water, gets that fish's attention really well in cold water. Strike King Series 4. This little bait here, if you're in a grass lake, is a fantastic bait because of that wide wobble. It actually pushes hydrilla out of the way. Great Guntersville bait, great Seminole bait, great Sam Rayburn bait in cold water. It pushes that out of the way. Series 4 is a fantastic one. And the 1.5 flat is kind of a combo of both. You have the flat-sided bait. You can see how thin this bait is. You can see that it has a good shape to it, a good bait fish shape to it. It also has a little bit narrower bill, but we continue with the thought process of it being rounded on the end for deflection. This bait has a little bit of this. It almost rolls a little bait, but it has a pretty good quiver to it, which makes it a very good bait in cold water. The one thing that I like to do on this most of the time is put a heavier grade Gamakatsu hook on it, because this bait, just by its manufacture, is a little bit more buoyant, and I want to slow that down. I can either take heavier hooks and put on it, or I can take a little suspend strip or suspend dot on it to make it a little bit less buoyant. Anytime you add that lead tape to it, once you find the perfect buoyancy that you want, super glue it on your bait, because that will come off if you're not careful. But this bait is kind of the hybrid between the two. It has that good quiver to it, and it's a great shape, and it's a good depth. It has a good depth range to it. It gets in that 8 to 9 foot range with 10-pound line really easy. So to recap that, the Series 3 with the bill comes straight out of its lip. The Series 4 with the bill that comes down gives you that wide wobble. and the 1.5 that has that good clear water, narrow quiver to it that gets those strikes from those fish that are reluctant to bite in cold water. 3 baits that I use all the time. As soon as I warm up, I'm headed outside to fish in the winter.